Well, for the Mafia, you sell drugs. So they're so plentiful when you're selling them. And I was so miserable knowing that I was a criminal, and my parents were very upset with me, very disappointed with me, that I just wanted to kind of chill out and hide. And if you shoot heroin, you're like on cloud 9, nothing bothers you.
Do you remember the first time you shot heroin?
Yep, with my cousin Paulie in the basement. He was a terrible criminal. Not to say that I wasn't a terrible criminal, but he was worse. He was my worst influence. His father was kind of a longshore, not gangster, but certainly a criminal. And his father taught him, do whatever you got to do to make money. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and get what you can. And the first time I shot drugs, it was like heavenly. It's like just la la land. Everything just feels good, and you're content with just being a couch potato or a mushroom, just sitting there. But it's deceptive.
Do you think it's a dog-eat-dog world?
Yeah, but I also think that God didn't design it that way, and that we could have a reasonable amount of love and peace and joy and harmony in this broken and corrupt world. My parents wanted me to try to grow up being a God-fearing boy, young man, and behave. And so they sent me to Catholic school, and I rebelled. I was naughty, and the nuns and the priest used to beat me up and tell me to be good, and I would read the 10 Commandments, and I couldn't apply them. So I said, God is a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm going to carve out my own way. And so I hooked up with organized crime people. The gangsters hung around in my neighborhood. They had an Italian-American community clubhouse near the billiard room. And my parents used to say, Stephen, don't go hang out there. And of course I went and hung out there. They're always looking for soldiers. The Mafia, you know, you want us to love you and protect you and be part of us? Well, then you got to make money. And we'll tell you where to go, where to steal, and you bring back the goods, and you can get to keep some, but we keep most of it. Yeah, mostly steal. And when they had people that they didn't like or that did bad things to them, they would tell me where they live or which car they own, and I would break the windows or ruin their stuff and run away like hell. Yeah.
What do you think, like, the worst thing you did in the Mafia is?
Wait in the car while they went upstairs in the hotel to do a drug deal, and sometimes they would come back with the drugs and the money, which means that I didn't ask them what happened to the guy in the hotel, but I would suspect if you come back with both things, that guy's not going to be in very good condition. Shootouts. Shootouts. Like taking shots at each other and hiding behind cars and running like hell. Pooping my pants, man. Hiding behind trucks and garbage pails and hoping that they couldn't find me. I sold my Harley Davidson. I realized that the Mafia guys are just out there for themselves, really like you and will protect you as long as you're productive. But if you start to fall to the wayside and maybe get hung up in drugs or whatever, they'll just let you drift off and you're useless to them. They want people that are productive. So trying to live in that world, I became disgusted with myself and the way I behaved, and I started shooting drugs and became more miserable. And my favorite class in high school was geography. And I saw all those gorgeous pictures in geography in my geography book about California. And I thought if I put myself in a gorgeous area and leave Brooklyn, where I mostly know juvenile delinquents and gangsters and wannabe gangsters, that I could straighten out my life. Well, in California, there were a few times when I decided that I didn't want to be a gangster, and I needed to change, and I ran off to California, and a couple of times there were some really great hippie parties in the parks and stuff.
Yeah.
And the police would sometimes come and make it become a riot and say, you can't be here, they'd be shooting. You know, you're shooting at that direction into a crowd and stuff, and you see some people fall down and some people would get shot in their leg or something like that, you know, and you call 911 and stay with them until the ambulance came, and then when they ask you what happened, I don't know, and they ask me my name, and I'd run away. I don't want to be any part of. Very exciting. I had a pocket full of cash, and my girlfriend came with me. And so for the first few months, we just stayed in hotels and ate in great restaurants and played in the beach and hung out with fellow hippies and stuff like that. And then one of our lady friends here in New York OD'd and died, and my girlfriend wanted to come back for the funeral, and I didn't want to come back here. And so at the airport, I made acquaintances with a guy who was a backslidden Baptist, and he said, hey, you seem like a pretty cool guy. Want to try to make friends? I said, yeah, sure. Became roommates, and he's a very nature-loving guy, which I am too. And he had a van, and we started being good buddies, and we'd find odd jobs to make money. And when we had enough, we'd hop in his hippie van and drive up and down the coast in California and eat avocados and just have a good time. Nature out there. She was a good girl, but a hippie, so free sex, free drugs, rock and roll, and she worked on Wall Street as a secretary, and I worked in Brooklyn as a juvenile delinquent, picking up jobs here and there, some legal, some usually construction or iron working or putting up fences around parks or stuff like that. And then at night usually resort to robbing and stealing. I was about 16 or 17 and doing drugs with my girlfriend Annie in Brooklyn. We had a big argument. I said, I'm gonna go run to the beach. And she thought I was gonna go kill myself. So it was at night. She called the police and she said, my boyfriend's out of his mind and I think he's gonna go kill himself. And he's running down Ocean Parkway. So she got in the police car and she tracked me down, and I didn't know what was going on, that her being in the police car and stuff. But she managed to get them to stop me and stuff, and she was crying like a baby. And I said, Annie, what's the matter? What are you doing? What are you doing? And she said, oh, I thought you were going to kill yourself, so I called the police. I had enough of California and working there and stuff like that, and wanted to come back to New York. So I came back to New York and told my story about my conversion, wanting to please God and not just be a selfish drug addict. And so I visited a few old girlfriends, and one of the old girlfriends saw a spark in my eye, so to speak. And she said, I knew what you were like before, and I see that you seem to be more content and a better person now. So why don't you tell me what happened? And I said, why don't you come and visit church? And she came to church and realized that God is great, and we can be born again, anew, in our heart and our spirit. So she started coming to church. We got more lovey-dovey, and we got married. I worked on Wall Street a little bit, and then we decided, after being married for 2 years and our daughter was 6 months old, that I wanted to practice tropical landscaping. So we packed up our bags and our 2 cats and a dog and the station wagon and a U-Haul, and we moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We rented a small little apartment, and my daughter's mother was a dog groomer, so she set up a dog grooming business, and I started mowing lawns and planting trees and attending community college at night to study tropical landscaping and all the pests and fertilizers that need to be used to have the plants flourish. And we lived down there for 8 years, and I got involved with drug traffickers and cocaine cowboys again. And got a little tired of landscaping and got very attracted to living in the fast lane with drug dealers and cocaine cowboys. It was pretty exciting. Plenty of money, plenty of drugs, nice cars, nice houses, nice boats. Well, the big shots, which was not me, I was just one of the little workers, would tell me that their connections from Mexico and Colombia are expecting to make a delivery somewhere in the Fort Lauderdale Marina or Miami Marina. And they said, we're going to have our boys come pick it up. And when we call you, we want you to shut all the lights off in your house and open the garage door and let us drive the vans in your garage. They unload everything and have dinner or whatever. And I would help organize different people to come and pick up and then drive it to New York. And when the last load was due to go to New York, that was our load. Me, my wife, and my daughter and the dog, we fill up the car with food and stuff and a whole bunch of weed in the trunk. And with all expenses paid, just drive to New York. Especially not speeding. That was one of the commitments. That they don't want to lose their load.
Yeah.
Because you're a prick and you're fucking attracted to police because you're speeding. And my wife said, you're a dog again. I don't want to be married to you anymore. And I apologized and said I would set myself straight, but she said, I don't trust you anymore. And we're divorced. I became divorced and packed up my stuff and moved back here to New York City. And lived with my grandmother over here, right up the block. And I had a cousin in the banking business, and I asked him to help me get a job in the banking world, and so he did. And so I worked on Wall Street a number of years, and learned how to run the computers, learned how to program them some. I was an absentee dad, which was pretty traumatic and very hurtful. But her mother was pretty understanding and knew that she needed a relationship with her daddy, so she was very free about letting me have her fly up and have her for like alternating holidays or split the summer and things of that nature. So we did that for several years, and she's very popular at school, gymnast and all that kind of stuff. And one day one of the boys was showing off his new sports car, a 2-seater, and taking the girls for a ride one at a time. And unbeknown to them, he was pretty intoxicated. And when he took my daughter Jessica for a ride in his sports car, he lost control and crashed into a palm tree on her side of the car, and she died instantly. I was at my friend's farm at the time in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and her mother called me to say that our daughter was killed and you need to come down for the funeral. I was pinching myself after my friend Stanley handed me the phone and said, "Your wife wants to talk to you." I was numbified. I was actually pinching myself and stuck myself with a little needle. I remember, a little safety pin or something, just to. And so I rolled up a big fat joint and ran out into the woods and cried my eyes out for 2 hours. It was July, so everything's in blossom. Plenty of mosquitoes, flowers. The horses are out in the field with the cows. It's very pretty there, but I was brokenhearted when I found out that news. Packed my bags and made a emergency flight to Fort Lauderdale. Spent a few days there, and we buried her, and that was the only time I ever went to the cemetery. And I probably cried every day for a year. Her mother almost committed suicide for the tremendous loss. Fortunately, the kid's father was somewhat of a prudent man. He was a practicing physician, and took out a very, very high insurance policy on his son's car and driving, suspecting that maybe his son would fuck up the way he did. And so her mother and I were awarded a lot of money. I'm grateful I had her, and I believe we come into the world naked and we leave naked, and just about everything is a gift. And I didn't want to be a Wall Street guy anymore. I didn't need to be a Wall Street guy anymore. Her mother and I, like I say, were awarded a lot of money. And I said, God, I want a formal education. And so in the early 90s, I attended the Borough of Manhattan Community College. So I went to school there for 4 years. I was on the Dean's list every semester. I accumulated something like 125 credits. I was the captain of the swimming team. I was the captain of the snow team. A couple other teams. It was a blast. I had a wonderful time.
Wait, how old were you when you went to community college?
About 42.
42.
So when I go in the classroom and see kids like you, they say, "Oh, professor." I said, "No, man, I'm not the professor. I'm one of you guys. And I'm going to sit right next to you and try to get a formal education."
You cold?
Yeah, but it's all right. Yeah.
We can go somewhere else or walk around if you're cold.
Let me do a few jumping jacks. You want to shut that for a second or what?
Yeah, sure, whatever. So physical discipline works. I'm 73 and I'm still pretty healthy and active. And just as a side point, that
it does pay to eat well and to exercise good physical discipline, and you can enjoy your senior years a lot more than if you were negligent and just a couch potato.
Yeah.
Our bodies are made to move. Actually, it's a little weird. It sounds very old, and it is. You know, I've 73 years being around. I do consider myself fortunate. I do love. I've enjoyed the life that I've lived. Not to say that there hasn't been heartaches and sorrow, but overall, I would say that I'm very rich in experiences. You know, most people that I know, so I consider most, never shot a gun, never had a boat, never had a father that took them way out in the ocean. I've lived here and there. I've been married, I'm unmarried. I've been a parent, now I'm not a parent. So, I'm rich in history. So, in a sense, I like it. Could I have done things differently? Yeah. All out for it. Like my sisters, though. My sisters wanted to say, I would never ever exchange my upbringing for anything. But I would.